What's the cost of sitting out and not endorsing anyone, thereby basically sitting on the sidelines? Well, Jeff just found out. Well, over 200,000 subscribers of the Washington Post decided that if you are sitting on the sidelines, then we are just not going to give you any money, and canceled their subscriptions. And he also lost a bunch of staff members. So Jeff comes out and says, well, here is my reason for not endorsing anyone. Quasi as damage control. He spins it that a presidential endorsement really doesn't do anything to tip the election. That's the way that he's selling it. Now, is that actually really what's at stake? I would argue that it's not. There is more to it. It's a question of allegiance. What do you stand for? Who do you stand behind? No matter whether you tip an election or not. Of course, for someone of the caliber of Bezos, it makes sense to be in the camp of the convicted felon, because that's where the tax savings are, and the business subsidies and the deregulations that allow him to essentially amass more wealth at even less accountability. So rather than saying, hey, I'm going to endorse him where he knows he's going to fight a losing battle, and then certainly not endorsing her where he would have to declare an allegiance that would make him almost an outcast in the circles that he's usually cruising in, he decides to just sit it out and then spin it in the worst possible way. Integrity and honesty can possibly be expected from someone who has it. Bezos is absolutely absent of it, as are most of the people who are ranging in that billion-dollar thing, which also leads me down the path of, well, why do we need billionaires to begin with? But that would, of course, be a different video altogether. So again, what he sells is bullshit. What he says makes absolutely zero sense, and he hopes that he's going to get away with it. Now, thankfully, 200,000 already called him out on it, and I hope that this is not the end of it. Absolutely, he's 100% asshole, even though he's heralded as the American self-made billionaire. Most people forget that he's had significant family funding and support. And then he made his money on the backs of other people's labor. Just look at the working conditions at the Amazon warehouses, where some of the stories that are told and are documented are absolutely horrifying. But it doesn't matter to someone who has no scruple and no ethics when it's all about money and exploitation. And even though the original premise is that it was just a fulfillment organization, then they went into business to run other businesses out of business. So really nowhere positive to go here. Now, opposing to his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, who is very philanthropic, having donated hundreds of millions of dollars. And yes, we can argue that these are tax write-off positions and so forth, but she still has done that. And she doesn't get any poorer, but she has done a lot of good. What has Bezos done? Nothing. Yet we still subsidize his organization with tax breaks and real estate breaks and what have you. Money that comes out of the taxpayer pocket. The man is despicable. And for what? To be called one of the richest men in the world? What's the award here? But for some reason we admire such actions and such behaviors in this country, even though people like Bezos or any one of the 2,900 and some change billionaires have absolutely no justification to exist, because none of them has made it there without exploiting and disadvantaging someone else and living off the backs of their labor. So, yeah. In a nutshell, eliminate the billionaires.